All right. Okay. Wolfgang Caden is with us.
Yep.
Glad to see you. And why don't you tell us a little about your involvement in photography around here?
Okay. Yeah, I joined last time in July, the first time here, and yeah, my name is Wolfgang Caden. I'm in the city of West Bloomfield in Michigan, and I'm starting with photography in a more serious sense, if you will. I've always photographed in my past, but never came beyond taking pictures, not making pictures. And I think that's a different now that I'm retired, and I want to make this my hobby, and I'm starting out with a real camera and a couple lenses, and so yeah, so I'm more interested I'm at this point I'm interested in landscape. I do a little bit real estate photography for a friend, and more like street photography type things.
Okay. Well, we've got folks here that cover a little bit of everything. Let's see. Keith Matz, I think you met at the club meeting before. He's always up running the equipment. And we've got the origin of this group is kind of split. It started with West Oakland Camera Club, and then there, in addition, Gary had headed a group called the Older Persons Commission photography classes. He taught those for years, and so Paul Ostin and Gary and also Tom Pernar came from that side, and so we've kind of meshed the groups together, and anybody else who's interested. Kind of disappointed we don't have a lot more members tonight. I know that Linda had told me that she's out of town again. I don't know about the two Anns. Maybe we'll get some more people joining in a little bit. Typically, we have people send in images to get critiqued and discussed, and then we go off and discuss some of the new things that Gary's learned. He's always coming up with new things for us to study and learn.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll turn it over to Gary and
May I just ask a question as you're mentioning the critiques? I have prepared 4 little pictures that I was just preparing for this, and wanted to see how I can upload that. You using WeTransfer, but I didn't know exactly the destination, where to send it to, and so
okay. Gary, why don't you just
maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Do you have a Flickr site?
I have a WeTransfer login.
Okay, but do you have a Flickr site? Flickr is a website where you can display your images to the public, and it's a free site, and it's pretty good. I think most people have tried it and like it. So
okay,
a lot of us use that.
Yeah, I mean, I could share it here, but in Zoom, but whatever you like, we can do that next time as well.
Well, it's important. I like to find out what people like to learn from the group. So anything you can share with us, the newer members, as to what you like to photograph. And you mentioned landscape. Do you travel for landscape, or do you do things locally?
I'm doing that currently mostly when I was traveling. I have 4 pictures, and 2 were actually out of a travel that I recently did, and 2 other pictures from here. So I mean, I could share it here through Zoom or transfer it somewhere.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll try to get you information about how to do the WeTransfer.
Okay,
it's good to have. I'm trying to think if there's been Doug and Tom and I and Paul, we've been doing some things locally. The Michigan Central Station has been one of the places that we've been to. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go there, but it's just a remarkable building. And if you get a chance, you should get down there. It's I believe it's closing at the end of the month as a public place where you can just go in, walk in. My daughter's working with the city of Detroit. She's an attorney that does presentation projects and works with the city of Detroit on a lot of their big meetings. And she's got something going at the end of the year with the city of Detroit at the Michigan Central. And she's talking about how they're going to revamp the interior. Right now, it's operating as a museum, basically. There's very few office spaces functioning there, but they've got the first level operating pretty much as a museum, and the plan is to move most of that out. They're going to bring in the office people, restaurants, condominiums. There's a whole plan for that, and she's talking with the people that are working directly on that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. Let's see, we went down to Eastern Market on Sunday because I found that they have a special during the summer at Eastern Market that includes art, music, food, clothing, and it's kind of a bizarre type of an arrangement. But if you like, people photography and like photographing urban landscape, there's a lot of artwork down there on walls around that area, and it's pretty safe to walk around. But there's a lot of things to photograph down there, so we wandered around that. Let's say we went to Belle Isle. The aquarium, I think, is now fully functional. And what's the building, Bob, next door? The flower.
Oh, the
Conservatory.
I'm not sure what they call it,
Conservatory.
conservatory. That looks like it's getting close. I think they're planning on opening that soon.
Yeah, they did a complete revamp. It was a giant glass conservatory with plants and things and critters, but it was always a good place to photograph.
The Rochester had what they call their Rocking Rods show last Sunday, which is downtown Rochester, and they have a pretty good showing for that. There's a couple hundred cars there. You walk around, take pictures. Dream Cruise.
When's the Dream Cruise?
That's this week. So you could even head down there tonight and probably catch a lot of action going on. Friday night and Saturday are really the big days. So if you get down there early, find a parking spot in one of the parking decks, you can wander around, and there's all kinds of things going on downtown Rochester, or not downtown Birmingham. People are everywhere. So if you're into urban landscape and street photography, there's plenty of material down there to photograph.
Yeah, you may have heard Woodward Avenue was the first paved road in the United States. And it's one that's famous for cruising. And of course, the car companies were here and all of that. When they do the Dream Cruise, they draw more than 1 million people during the week. And I think 40,000 cars, some ridiculous number, cruising up and down that street, all kinds of things.
Yeah, there's literally millions of people on the sides of the street watching the show go on. So
that's a few of the things.
So I just want to mention a couple of those. Doug, anything else I'm missing? Tom?
I don't know.
Well, we all go to Greenfield Village a lot.
Yeah, Greenfield Village. They had the baseball, the old time baseball World Series last weekend. That's always fun to photograph.
They got a big thing. I just watched on the news earlier today. It was the M1 track, in Pontiac on Woodward.
Yeah.
There's a huge show there, all Corvettes and GTOs and all kinds of other stuff and tents and games. But I think you got to go to that M1something.com to get tickets for it. So it's this weekend too. But I don't know if you got to pay for them or not. But
I'm sure. Yeah,
it's a big thing. It's a big thing because that's like a private track and stuff. So
and that's this week.
That's right now. It's going to start it off.
I know that Dream Cruise Week in the past, the Corvette Clubs of America would come in mass.
Yeah, and they're all their right now. They had it tonight. There's Corvettes parked all over the place there, in there around their track.
That's right in Pontiac on the south side.
Yeah, that's something new. I think it's but it's with Dream Cruise, and I don't know if you have to buy tickets. It sounded like you did.
And Doug, I think on Friday, doesn't Royal Oak have that park down there? They have all that filled with cars. There's a show that goes on during the day on Friday before the Saturday Dream Cruise.
I think that's Saturday, the Woodward and 13.
Yeah, I think that on Friday
That's-
though, they
that's
have
on
their
Saturday.
own show there.
I don't know if it's Friday night because the Dream Cruise is what? It's Saturday, basically.
Saturday,
It
yeah.
starts Friday night. I know there's a parade in, is it not Clawson? What's the town over there? Berkeley? I don't know.
Berkeley, yeah.
Just south of the hospital, the Beaumont Hospital, that little, whatever town that is, they got a big parade. I think it's Thursday night
Okay,
in their
I
town.
thought I'd mention there's Art Prize coming up as well in
Right.
for
That's
3 weeks. It starts
September
September.
16th or something.
Yeah, something like that, and it's three weeks long, and there's just a very large amount of opportunities there.
That's over in Grand Rapids.
It is.
And it's a really big art thing where they do a lot of outside exhibits and permanent stuff, permanent installations. And a huge prize money for that too.
so we're always looking for places to go to photograph. So if that's why I'm mentioning these things. If you hear about things, please pass it on to the group. Tom is always wandering around finding neat places to go to. Doug's always looking for sky things and out at Kensington's Stony Creek looking for flowers, birds, whatever, getting that done.
Mhm.
So
Not much this time of year, though.
I want to mention that I met Wolfgang and his wife Regina in May at the Novi Civic Center. There was a photography exhibit there. And, after talking to Wolfgang, I found out he was interested in photography. So I invited him to this, these Wednesday night meetings.
Good, thank you.
And the month after that, in July, Wolfgang's wife had an art display. She's an artist, and so she had some of her artwork on display through the month of July.
Cool.
also, there's a group that meets in Rochester on Friday mornings at 9 o'clock. That's open to everyone if you want to at the Panera that's on Livernois, just south of University. We usually spend about an hour and a half, and usually Bob and Paul, Lowell, Doug, Tom, myself. There's plenty of room there, so just we go there, have a coffee and a bagel or something, and just talk about photography. So it's a good chance to go one-on-one and talk about equipment or whatever. Bob's always willing to bring things in to pass around, show his latest and greatest equipment. So
Cool.
a never-ending supply of things, right, Bob?
Great.
Okay,
Well,
so let me share screen, desktop, share, bridge. Okay, can you see my screen?
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
good, you're starting.
Keith, you sent in first, so we'll go through some of your stuff.
Yeah, I was up near Grayling. A friend of mine has a cabin up there, and Doug and I went out one morning, and we were in a little town called Alba, and we found this derelict building. And so I took a couple of pictures. So
That's not your normal clouds. Keith's known for,
it was a great building, a lot of character to it.
yeah, there is.
How were you able to get close? I mean, is there restrictions on the being close to the railroad tracks or?
Well, I think it said don't walk on the tracks, but
It's right on the main street.
yeah, it's right on the main corner. Yeah, it's one of those towns where if you blink, you might miss it. But there's a crossroad there, and this was on one of the corners.
There's no train, so.
That's on the other side of the building. Looked like this.
That's Gary, that's where I saw a guy with a great big camera. It was just to the right of that.
Really?
He was stopped to take pictures of this in the church next door to it, so.
When you pass a place like this, it's just crying out to be photographed, so.
Oh, yeah, there's so many compositions I can see
Yeah, you
just
could
looking
go
at
in
this.
closer on different windows and stuff, but
So how many buildings like this are on there?
They're all over the place. Every town has them.
Yeah, well, trying to find them is the tricky part.
yeah,
Just drive down the road. They're all on the main roads.
we just happened on this one.
So
I've
I
been
look
going
at
up there for
this,
years.
yeah.
I've never noticed it before either. So I've driven by it. So
I can just see so many
Yeah,
compositions.
it changes over the years though. So
I'm sure it does.
you can see to the left there, there's some new siding like or something. So, but still none of it's I don't know. Somebody might live in there somewhere, toys outside, but it was.
Yeah, I was going to mention a book
See a
that
satellite dish on the front.
I was going to mention a book that I got from the library. Tom's reading it now. It's called Looking Out and Looking In. It's a story of Andrew Wyeth and his fascination with windows. And the book also focused on Charles Sheeler and Edward Hopper and how they were all fascinated with windows and how that worked in with their paintings. If you get a chance, either at the library or getting it through Amazon, I would highly recommend it. It's one of the best sources for information and inspiration for doing work like that.
Excellent.
So I know we were trying to get into the creative things, so I've been experimenting with using the polar coordinates filter a couple times, and this is on a dahlia picture that where
So- So Keith, when you started with this one, was it just the dahlia flower?
yes.
Okay. Because usually it does more radical things to it.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So you're using our famous double reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I often add a little something to the center part. Sometimes it seems like the center part of the picture needs a little something more. So
Wolfgang, there's an action that we can share if you want. It's called Amazing Circles, and it automates the process to go through here.
but basically, you have to make the picture a square. You make it the same dimensions on each side. You can
Okay.
and then you run the polar coordinates filter, and then you flip the image horizontally, and then you run the polar coordinates filter the other way, and it's usually you get something like this.
Keith, do you have the action that does that, or do you do it?
I just do it by hand.
Okay, if you want the action, let me know. I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
It's a lot faster.
Oh, that's neat.
Doug and I were in the Jordan River Valley, and we photographed some real pretty ferns. And I thought, well, let's see if I can take a good picture. And
That looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
and then, well, I hit on the bottom layer is part of the original image, and so I made that into the
Good.
background.
Oh,
That's creative. Oh, I really like that.
Wow.
This is in the Mathi Botanical Gardens. They have a rock garden, and there's some hen and chicks in there. And so I did the action, and then in the center, I put more straight shot in the exact center there.
It turned out good.
Yeah, very good.
Back in July, a bunch of us were out at Kensington shooting pictures, and so I took a bunch of different. So there's probably 20 layers in this one, and of different fireworks shots. At Kensington, you can get the reflection there with the pictures, and so I just
So
add
you,
'em up.
you stacked like 20 pictures?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
wow.
I
Wow.
usually convert them to JPEGs first but
Wow.
and size them about the same, so.
Yeah, because each picture is probably like one burst, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, one or two bursts in each
Yeah.
picture, yeah. Yeah, at Kensington, they were pretty slow when they shooting the fireworks off, so you had quite a bit of time to where you could get single bursts. Where other places I've been, they're continually doing the fireworks. Up near Grayling, we went out to a lighthouse, I think closer to Rogers City, Presque Isle lighthouse, and they have one of those circular staircases, and I paid the $6 to go up the top.
Yeah, you can also do that at the Gilpin one in Mackinac. I don't remember what it costs. I didn't go in there this year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And just some flowers in my yard and some phlox, and I tried to zoom blur. We had talked about that at one of the meetings for a way of doing something creative, and then I think right in the center I put a little bit of sharpness there for some of the phlox.
Was this in camera, Keith?
Yeah, I did add a second layer right in the center there, a little, just to give it a little bit more definition.
Focal point, yeah.
Yeah,
But the zoom part of it is done in Photoshop with the zoom filters.
no, this
Oh,
was.
no, he did with camera.
Oh, with a zoom
I
lens?
just zoomed the lens, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the real way of doing it.
More fun that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to do, yeah.
You never know what you get.
So do you tinker around with different times, like what like the exposure, total exposure when you're zooming?
I usually kind of just get the longest exposure I can get without putting any neutral density on there, and then just zoom it and just try it.
A few years back, Tom Pinar got me into doing blurred images by throwing the camera. You poke the button on a long shutter, long exposure, throw it in the air, and then catch it. Oh, wow.
That's good. That's good because you have lots of extra cameras in case you drop one.
Right. This one's really outstanding.
Mhm.
Now, this is in my garden, this purple coneflower, and then in the center, I added the center part of one of the to give it a little anchor there.
So you masked that in the center?
Yeah, I just, yeah.
Oh, you really did a good job with it. You can.
Sure did.
Yeah. It's like one of those glass ball paperweights.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kind of fun to do that. There's a number of them you do and it just doesn't work at all, but
Yeah. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
Oh, nice.
so I saw all these sailboats in the clouds the other day. Now,
You must have been dreaming, huh?
yeah, I was in Caseville, and there was a sailboat regatta, and it was kind of a almost foggy day. There wasn't much wind, and so I got a bunch of pictures of the sailboats, and then just put it with a cloud shot.
That's nicely done. Ooh, Lowell was trying to get in.
So Keith, very creative stuff. I like the way you're experimenting and getting some of the results you are, especially with the blurs and the zooms. Those are great.
Thanks.
Yeah, very nice, Keith.
Thanks, Bob.
Lowell, can you hear us? You're on mute. Lowell Monk has joined.
Well, let me know if he's,
Lowell, can you hear us?
I wonder if there's a problem bringing somebody in when you're sharing the screen like this.
I don't know. I've got a thing that says ask to unmute.
It shouldn't be.
But these look nice. Whose are these?
Well, Lowell, if you can, unmute yourself and let us know you're there. Okay. I don't hear anything. I don't see him. So maybe he's having a little audio video setup issues. You may need to set up the video and audio on the lower left.
Or try signing in again.
Am I okay now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Just
Turn your,
can't see you.
tell him turn his video on.
I'm trying. I
There
can't
you
get,
go. There you
There
are.
there we
it is.
go,
We got you.
finally.
All right.
Had to hit her about 15 times.
Ah,
Sorry to interrupt.
no,
Sorry I'm
no
late.
problem. Hope you weren't waiting too long because I was.
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Well, I guess these are mine to talk about. I don't have a lot of real creative stuff like we just witnessed, but this weekend, my wife and I went up to shoot the Northern Lights, and we drove clear up to Grand Marais on the Lake Superior border. It's roughly straight north until you hit Lake Superior. And it started off with just a very, very faint line across the sky, and it was gray. I could never see the colors with the naked eye, but I could hold the cell phone up or the camera and it would see them. So after it got going, you started to see the streaks here. This is the refurbished lightkeeper's house for the light that's behind where I'm standing. So anyway, that was kind of fun. Let's move on to the next one.
So what, how long of an exposure is this, Bob?
A lot of these are 20 or 30 seconds. And I kind of jumped around with that. It just depended. Some of, and what I was doing was I went for longer exposure times and much lower ISO. Some of these were shot at 100 ISO. So I just let it burn in a little better.
So when you're taking these, does the camera show the progression of the exposure, or do you have to wait till the thing is done, then you get the picture?
I had long exposure noise reduction on as well, and I was too lazy to take it off. So it was black, and then for however long, 20 seconds, and then it was black with processing for another 20 seconds. When you do that, what it's doing is taking out any bad pixels that might be there.
So at 20 seconds, you're seeing some star trails.
Yeah, that's why they're not perfectly uniform up in the corners, because it's a long enough exposure.
Yeah, they'll never be totally sharp in the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was actually taken with the real camera.
You are right in the center, that little circle. You see it right above, straight up above the tree. Go
Yeah.
straight, right there. Yeah, right. Oh, no, to the left. That little circle right there, right above your cursor. Yeah, the little circle of stars.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what, that's what I always zoom in on to see how sharp it is.
Oh,
Yeah, in your pictures, because it's a real nice defined little pattern. And anytime I've ever done,
actually, I focused on the house.
yeah, but that's all right. I mean, you're,
Yeah.
that's good. You can do it
Looks-
either way.
Looks pretty good on the focus, Bob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either way, it's gonna work,
Yep.
especially f2.8 or 1.8, whatever you're shooting.
This is another one, same building, but a different angle, and the lights were different. You can barely see the streaks going straight up. Again, that was all gray to the naked eye, very light gray. But again, that was shot with the real camera, the Sony.
And how is the building illuminated?
There's an obnoxious light off to the left, quite a ways, and that was just there. I had to kind of contend with it.
It's fine.
Now
Yeah,
both of these were shot with a 14 millimeter Sony f1.8 at 1.8. So I may have had much less length of duration on these.
There's that circle again. You know, the stars right there in the middle.
Yeah, see, and you're getting some
You're getting some movement, but you don't see it.
movement.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
The
It's
big
fine.
picture, you don't see it.
a normal viewing distance, you don't see it.
Are these, hey, Bob, let me ask you, these were shot in RAW, right?
Yes,
Now, and is this picture here is a JPEG?
yes.
Okay, because I noticed whenever I convert them to a JPEG, you lose, and you probably correct it for some noise and stuff too, right? And when you do that, you lose a lot of the stars, the
I didn't correct.
clarity of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't correct these for noise.
Okay, but yeah, I could see that when you zoomed in. I could see that, but
Where I really screwed up big time was I was so infatuated with what my cell phone was showing me. I stopped using the real camera and just shot cell phone, thinking I was getting 48 megapixel shots. But what I didn't realize was when you're in dark mode, it cuts it down to 12 megapixels. It takes a second or two for it to process. But so the next pictures I think are all cell phone shots.
So what is the philosophy behind the cell phone? Is actually seems like it's exposing either better or quicker than
it kind of, Gary, I think it kind of shoots HDR all the time.
yeah.
So you're correcting your exposures for bright and dark areas, and it averages out. You know,
it takes
what it
like
does.
30 pictures in a picture.
yeah.
It takes some with the LiDAR camera for depth mapping. And then it also does some HDR, like you said, some exposure bracketing, and then meshes all that together to give you a final picture.
Yeah,
But it's pretty damn
JPEG.
amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Well, a lot of times I'll go out and look and I don't see the aurora at all, but I hold up my iPhone and you can see it on the iPhone.
Yep.
Well, if you look in the middle of the image, you see just some faint gray. That's all I saw with the naked eye. I never saw any of this green.
And if you didn't have as long of an exposure as you did, a shorter exposure, you wouldn't have the smearing of the green. You'd have more stripes and stuff.
Those came in some other pictures. This was where it was just getting started. And then all of a sudden it just zoomed up and I started having vertical structures and really bright red over off the side. So the building is to the left here.
You just got to try all kinds of exposures and things when you're doing it.
Yep. So this is just a cell phone shot. Poke the button, hold it steady for a second or two, and that's what you get.
So I notice when I push my cell phone thing, you have to, if I set it on a tripod, I can hold it because at first I was doing it 1 second, and then it was a 3 second exposure automatically when you push it.
Mine were all 3 second, I think.
Yeah, you got to set it on a tripod and it gets much sharper.
I was holding it, but holding it on top of a tripod, not mounted.
Well, that's what I did too. I don't mount it. I don't have a mount for it.
Some nice
You gotta
colors,
mount for it.
nice colors in there, Bob.
Yeah, and it's just weird stripes and things.
So Bob, if you go to video mode, is it able to capture this in video form?
Not really, because it isn't a long enough exposure, and you can't have it. With video, you're shooting at a 50 frames per second.
Yeah.
And there's just not quite enough there. I suppose if you cranked your ISO way the hell up, maybe. I never tried that.
Because I've seen videos where, you get the aurora, but I have no idea how they're doing it.
Well, see, I guess
But a long exposure just smears. It's just all green. It doesn't have the stripes and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Right.
shame on me for not trying, because I had a 14 1.8. I could have jacked the ISOs clear through the roof and tried it. Should have.
Bob, did you shoot RAW on your iPhone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I shoot all my cell phone pictures RAW unless I screw up. And these structures, again, this is a cell phone image. I've never seen the blotchy streaks like that, chunks of color. Not that I've seen tons of these.
What's that little red thing by the tree there?
That's a sign. and it tells you to not walk on that wall if their water's nasty. Should I?
I would
was a
take that out,
question.
Bob.
Take that out.
Take it
Yeah,
out.
I
Sure.
was thinking the same and I didn't
Just
do
a-
it. I was gonna
yeah,
ask
just
you
a
guys.
distraction there.
No, you take it out completely, yeah.
The sky is, yeah,
That one too.
yeah.
I noticed that in your picture right away.
Yeah,
That's a
now
picture.
look how blotchy these are. And it's just the way it is.
That's just the long exposure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just moving. They're moving
Yep.
fast, so it smears.
Yeah, I have to take those out. So that's back where we started, and that's what we did the weekend. Oh, it's been 2 months since we've had this group together, so I just threw some of the fireworks shots. A lot of you guys have already seen these, but they're the Detroit fireworks shot from Windsor. And trying to think what I was doing for exposures on these. 5 to 8 seconds for an exposure. And I exposed all of these at 80 ISO and had no noise. And that was with a medium format camera, 100 megapixel.
Now, Bob, one thing I remember you telling me is that you use continuous shooting. So you just let the camera roll.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to do it. You just set it on continuous shoot and turn it on and let her go, and it'll just constantly take another picture when it gets done. So if you're doing 5 to 8 seconds, you'll get a whole string of them together. But then what you can do, you notice that Keith had taken individuals and put them together. If your timing is off and you don't get the bursts or the streams that come up, if all your exposures are the same, you can come back and blend those images later. I haven't done that yet. These are just single shots, and oddly enough, there was a number of these like this one where there were no trails.
Well, the other nice thing about doing it on the automatic is you get to just sit back and enjoy the fireworks.
Yeah, you can actually watch it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, here's some that did have trails.
Yeah, nice heart-shaped ones there. Yeah.
And I was really surprised. I got about 30 or 40 keepers out of this, and the array of different styles of fireworks would kind of surprise me. You can see the 3 gold ones in the front there are fading faster than the ones in the back. The timing was different.
So the speed at which they explode has a lot to do with the result that you have during that duration.
Yeah, or the intensity of the individual fireworks, because they do vary. There's one now. Again, the reflections I really liked. You see the trail of blue and brown in the background, but the ones in front overpowered it. And every one of these didn't have any trail up. Now this has a few.
Beautiful.
So that's fireworks. Nothing too creative about those other than I finally learned how to shoot them. One of the things, and you guys are probably all familiar with this, but I just wanted to briefly touch on these 3 pictures. And I know that Doug does this. Macro with a 500 or 600 lens. And so it's something to think about. If you own like a 200 to 600 or a 500 lens or something like that, don't hesitate to use it as a macro lens. In these particular cases, these 3 images, it was a medium format camera, 100 megapixel, with a 500 millimeter lens that I handheld from 9 feet away. But it works.
And Bob, you said this was 3 images?
No, there's 3 pictures in a row here.
Oh, okay.
This is
So
the first one.
this is just a single image then.
Yeah, and I just
Okay.
took these at the zoo one day before the flowers all croaked.
Were you using those extension tubes with this, Bob?
No, this one most of these I probably used the 500 millimeter lens with a 1.4 teleconverter, but on the medium format, you lose 21% of the focal length. So,
You just go to the minimum focus distance and
and that's 9 feet.
yeah,
That's 9 feet on this one. So a 500 millimeter with a 1.4 equals 700 millimeter. But when you take the reduction because it's medium format, it's 554.
So if you added an extension tube, how close would you be able to get?
When the lens is that long, you don't get in a whole lot closer. You get in a little bit. When you get
Okay.
it wider or shorter, like a, you
Do your-
take a
do
50
your
or
extension
60
tubes autofocus and everything or not?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any that do that, so. Not for Nikon,
Oh, you can get them, I think.
not for the Z.
Oh, really?
I haven't heard of them yet. We were talking about that the other day.
Really?
Somebody else was looking for them.
So again, you can see the detail we're getting here. So that's taken at 9-foot distance. So it's just, if you've got those longer lenses, give them a whirl. Same thing here.
Mhm.
Surprising you had the depth of field on this that you did that entire,
Well, he's got the body in, but the wings aren't front and back, so.
We're not 100%.
If you can focus, if you're on a tripod, you could focus stack it and work good if he sat still enough, you know?
Yes, and the camera supports focus stacking, but these are all handheld.
Yep.
But that camera's got 8 stops of IS. And there's the last one. Yeah. First one. What else did I send you? Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about if you've never dealt with a tilt shift lens. Any of you ever used one of those?
No.
Okay, a tilt shift lens and it has 2 functions. One, you can take the front part of the lens and tilt it down, and you can rotate the lens so that plane of focus can be any direction, but a flat plane of focus different than normal. Normally, when you're focusing on a flat plane that's vertical. But when you start to tilt it, you change where that plane of focus is, and the aperture determines the depth of field up and down the other direction. And I'll show you here in a minute what I mean by that. But the shift, well, we can go back to that last one, but the shift part lets you raise or lower or go side to side and stretch the image. So in this case, I got up real close, and this fence wasn't where I wanted, so I just shifted the lens up or down until I got got the composition that I wanted, and kind of on a 45-degree angle. And this one I'm a little off because I wanted to get the bridge in the background. But this is with a 17 millimeter tilt shift on a Sony camera, and kind of gives you an idea. I've used it a lot here I've had it for years, but I've used it a lot here the last few weeks. There's the one from the other side of the building.
That's a nice view of that.
Yeah,
Thanks. And again, I had
Very
the time when I screwed around. Now, if you use the shift part where you're altering the plane of focus, here's an example, and we'll have to zoom in on this to see it. But if you see the tops of these pickets, that's where the focus line is right on top of these pickets from front to back. But from left to right, your depth of field is left to right. So you see it's getting fuzzier on the left and fuzzier on the right, but it's staying sharp all the way down the center. And you can play all kinds of adjustment games to put that field of focus wherever you want it. So that's what a tilt and shift lens does for you. They're a good one, like I guess Nikon has discontinued their PC lenses. That's a tilt shift lens, but there are still some used ones out there for about 2,200. Canons are about 2,200 new. You can get them for 1,400 at KEH used, this 17 tilt shift. The low-end manufacturers have a bunch of these. Some of them are called tilt shift, and they're like $400 or $500, but they're not. They're just tilt. So you kind of, if you order one of those to play with it, and it may be, I don't use the tilt much, but I use the shift a lot. So anyway, that was just intended to be a short primer on using tilt shift lenses. Most all of that stuff you see on my Flickr site that I did downtown Detroit, I was using a tilt shift lens to raise or lower the point of focus, or the frame field of view.
If you've ever used a view camera with film, you learn all about this. I think it's called the Scheimpflug
Yes.
principle. Someone speaks German, they can tell us what the translation of that is, but
Well, that's the guy's name.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I always thought it was the name of the principle, the Scheim. Well, maybe it's named after him, so that
It's
sounds
named
about
after
right.
him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you look into it, there's some weird things because you can get the plane of focus to be at an angle, raising or lowering as it goes away from you, and maybe starting inches or feet below you or above you. And there's just some wild things you can do with it if you want to spend the time.
You take a picture of a tall building from up close because you just shift it and it kind of.
Yes, and that's
straight.
what I
You make the
use
building
most.
go straight rather than perspective,
Right. And I don't know, did I send you any of those? Or is that all of them?
Let's say, oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah. So there's an example. I was across the street from the Ren Center. And one of the things with a tilt shift lens is you keep the lens perfectly level.
Hold on for a second.
Okay. So the lens, I set it on the tripod and I have it perfectly level, but the composition wasn't right and it was cutting out the building. So I just shifted the field of view until I got the composition where I wanted it, either up or down. So it's great for architectural stuff.
We're done. About an hour. Bye.
And you said it's a 17 millimeter?
Yeah, the one I have a 17, a 24, and a 90. But the 17 and 24 are by far the most used, and they're the best. There are several vintages when you go to look for these of lens. You got to be careful. So if you ever want to look for these, let me know and I'll tell you what I know about them.
Now you can try to do this in Photoshop with a perspective correction, but the difference is that you'll notice when you start stretching these, if you do it with the software, you're going to see the top of these buildings really distorted. So if you're able to do it with a camera and a lens, it seems to me that it's much better and more accurate when it's done with the in camera with the proper lens to get that done.
And doing it afterwards, a lot of the picture disappears. You got to crop it differently. So
Yeah,
you
a lot
got to
of
shoot it real
Very
loose.
wide, yeah.
Yeah,
You got
you
to think ahead.
need
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
And like this one again was shot with a 100 megapixel camera. So if I did have to crop a little, I probably was okay. But actually, this is the full image. That's the way it came out of the camera.
Wow.
And let's see the next one. It's miniatures. If you shift the focus so that it's out of focus above and below the interest point, now they are set a different way. Looking at this down through you can see kind of at an angle where there's a thin plane of focus and then it's blurry above and blurry below, and that your mind plays games and treats it as if it's miniatures. And so you can do some pretty interesting things. I was in Canada a few years ago at Caesars up on one of the higher floors, and I set up my tilt shift for the customs station where the cars are coming in and going out. And I took a rapid series of shots over a period of minutes with this miniaturization, and then put them together as a movie. And it was kind of interesting to see the miniatures in action. But again, just something you can screw around with if you want. I think that's everything.
Okay,
Very
I'm gonna give
nice,
this back
very
to
nice.
Bob. Um, Tom, did you want to show anything with your black and white?
You have to, I got my Flickr site up there, and just if you wanted to. Because I didn't send you anything, so.
I know, it's okay, and I don't want to put you under pressure, but Tom's one of the best black and white photographers I've seen. So he does some very, very creative and abstract stuff. So if you just flip through his Flickr site, you're going to see some extraordinary images.
Well, Gary, could you bring it up and just show his site?
Well, I can pop it up right now.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Go for it.
Let's see, where is it? Right here, I guess. Yeah.
There you go. When I submit dark images at club, it's because of Tom's influence on me.
I guess I can.
So the arrow on the right will go to the next picture.
Yeah, but there's all you guys are in the way here. I gotta move you over.
No, just that little arrow
Yeah, well, it was covering the arrow.
right there. Yeah, right
Right
there.
there, yeah.
Oh, okay, on my screen you're
Yeah.
there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, this is up in Canada.
This is window looking in, right?
Yeah.
Is this your cabin?
No, it's another one up there. Let's see, that's up at Stony Creek, Inwood Road, north of the Nature Center.
Yep.
And it gets I don't know, the clouds really get looking dramatic up there at times. And
Because wide open. Yeah.
I'm just practicing around here. I'm instead of just straight black and white, I kind of like some of these toned images here. So I'm using a variety of toning techniques, and dodging and burning, and doing adjustment brush in camera raw. A whole lot. I'm just experimenting around with these things. So and that was Pathway at the Japanese Garden over at Cranbrook. That's a great place. Yeah, it's only about 2 or 3 acres, but boy, there's a lot of photo opportunities there.
Here's the case where I'm challenged. I walked on those same stones and never saw the shot.
Well, that happens to me when I'm looking at you guys' stuff too. I kick myself for not seeing it, So, this is just something I felt like trying something a little different. So it's like a drawing that maybe an artist has drawn, and he's starting to fill in with some color. So
that gets in high key or in fine art.
Yeah, kind of. Now this was a barn that my grandfather owned. It's over by Howell and Latson Road. It's still there, just barely, but I spent summers there a lot, and I kind of grew up in this old barn. And I don't think it's got too many years left. It's pretty tumbled down, but
Kind of like you.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah. Same place.
Didn't like that.
This is a multi-exposure from
Oh,
different
like that.
angles, all stacked up. It's called we call it the Ventosa effect, after the photographer who kind of I don't know if he does a lot of stuff like this, and gets that sort of a impressionistic look.
Definitely.
Let's see here. That's Cranbrook Japanese Garden, toned. That's another multi-exposure. That's right in my backyard, actually. Let's see what we got. That's Japanese garden. Okay.
I like the composition she had there.
See what else we got here. Yeah, that's a little more conventional. Every now and then I like
Hey,
to.
Tom, do you have that one of those statues around the fountain at the art museum?
Yeah, that's coming up. That's-
Okay, good, good. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That shot's beautiful. Yeah.
Here's some, yeah, that's my wife brushing her hair. And just you know, where is that? Yeah, it's coming up here soon.
Okay.
Oh, there's Doug.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a Cranbrook. That one?
Isn't that beautiful? This one.
Not as
Now
well.
go back to the one with Doug in it.
It is better, but this one's better.
You know, the trick here is getting these intense blacks without destroying the image. And it takes a lot of experimenting, a lot of experience to
We're
get
just in
this
shadow.
right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just in shadow completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You really did it.
Yeah, let's
That is
see.
outstanding.
That's a Gordie Howe Bridge.
Go back one to that statue.
Let's see.
Yeah, tell them about that. That's just beautiful.
Well, there at near the museum at Cranbrook, there's a fountain with a circle of statues in there.
Yeah.
And I almost laid down in the fountain to get this shot. There's probably maybe a dozen statues in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you-
Lots of
you-
trees around, so I had to get rid of all the trees and
You just
get,
post-process this. Yeah,
yeah. So I
it's just beautiful.
yeah. So I might redo that sometime. I don't know,
Hey,
but
Tom, there's
Yeah.
another place you can find a group of statues like that over to Oakland University, right in front of the library. I think it's the library.
okay.
There's a large
Yeah.
pond, and they have a circle of different statues that
Uh-huh.
were very similar to this.
It's just,
Boy, I've been over there
It's
many
just
times.
it's
I can't
just
quite
it's west
recall.
of the tower in the old part of it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know where it'd be. Yeah, so
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
that was at sunrise. I should have had a much longer lens, and it's got a lot of moire effect up in here, and I don't like that crane in the background, but I don't know, I just had to take the shot. It was beautiful.
Did you try the anti-moire adjustment?
Somewhat, yeah, it's actually just the cables themselves,
Yeah, because that's
I did get in there and select a lot of the spaces in between and trying to fix it up, but that took a lot of time, and I didn't think the shot was that good to
I like
spend that
this
much time on it. But this is a multiple shot of the Ambassador Bridge.
I love that.
Andy Tovar and I got down there right at sunrise, and it wasn't quite the shot I wanted, so I decided to just kind of use a multiple exposure on that. Turn them upside down, backwards, maybe scale it up a little bit, scale it back, try different blend modes. And so
Tom, you got it right. I fell in love with this. I haven't seen you in 2 or 3 weeks, so I haven't had time to mention it, but I really love this picture.
Yeah. Even the coloring is perfect.
Very apocalyptic.
yeah. Yeah, I rather like it myself. Well, let's see what I've got. We were over at where was that? Troy Historical Museum there. So Gary, you got the best shots over there.
Yeah, it's on Waddles and Livernois, I think.
Yeah, that's a kind of a nice place over there. Really, it's like a little compact Greenfield Village in a way.
Oh, I like the treatment on that.
Yeah, I backed the black off there. I went into curves on that and just lifted up the black slider over, and kind of kept all the other dark midtones, but I wanted to lighten up that just to sort of give it that kind of a retro look. And which I kind of like retro photography. Doorways, windows, whatever, that's this, yeah, where was that? Oh, I can't remember where that was. I think it's up on Lake George Road. Took that a couple of winters ago. And then I just redid it with, with brushes and layers. And I have a pen tablet, and that really helps on that. And so I kind of, let's see what else we got here. This was down at Lincoln Street Art Park in Detroit. So is that. Oh, that's pretty much what I took in that picture, the color picture. That's pretty much the one I redid.
Wow.
So, that's about it, I guess.
I love that.
I could see that whole collection in a gallery.
Yeah. And,
Very good, Tom.
yeah, okay. That's enough of that.
Beautiful.
How do I
Very-
get out of here now? It's up at the top, isn't it? Stop share. There we go. Okay.
Wow. Absolutely wonderful.
Kind of running out of things to inspire me lately. It's been kind of a dry spell.
You seem to find things.
His dry spell is pretty fluid.
Yeah.
As you're running out, you become the inspiration, actually.
Yes.
Well, I
Mr.
spend a lot of
Hagopian,
time
I like the
post-processing.
picture in your background.
Pardon?
Bob Hagopian, I like the picture behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, a couple
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah,
It's nice.
it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful.
All right,
So,
any other general questions? Equipment, anything we can
Well,
address?
Bob, I'm using that long lens for,
Mm-hmm.
never used anything that long, but that would give you better depth of field, wouldn't it?
Worse.
Oh, it should be better. You take the angle of the light rays coming in, they're very, very acute angle.
You know, I guess I don't really
And the distance from the film plane, it doesn't grow that, the circles of confusion and all that.
Yeah.
They'd be smaller.
I
'Cause you
tell
got-
you, a lens that's really good, and I don't know about Canon, but I know on Sony, the 100 to 400 you can put a teleconverter on that and get it out to 560 and still be sharp, or even the 2X, but it has a minimum focus distance of about 3 feet, less than 3 feet. So you can get right in, on smaller critters.
Okay. We'll see some people on Friday morning then. Panera, if anybody wants to show up, that's fine. Always looking for topics. If you have questions or stuff you want, you're researching, need help on, anything like that, we can entertain that and start researching.
Now, Wolfgang, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at any of our old videos, because we've videotaped most of these sessions, but frequently we'll have more pictures to go through than we did tonight. And then frequently Gary will have a whole new subject to introduce, maybe on a particular artist or a technique. So a lot of, if you go back and watch the old ones, you may pick up all kinds of things.
Would you be able to send me that link to get to it?
It's YouTube for Bob Radcliffe. Just go to that.
GQ, okay.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yep. Just it's a YouTube video
Mhm.
under my name. It's my account, and there'll be 20 or 30 of them out there.
Oh,
Okay.
How many hits are we getting on some of the
You know,
later
some of those surprised the hell out of me. We get 70, 80, 90 hits. Some of them are up over 100. And then there's a few that don't get very many. So I don't know who's in there looking, but I don't care. It's open to the public. And if
Once you
have
get to
trouble-
10,000, you can start making some money, Bob.
I don't, you know, man. They're not that polished. Let's put it that way.
Hey, Gary, I'm not going to be able to make it on Friday. I'm up in Glen Arbor,
Okay,
so I'll see you when I get back.
all right, sounds good. Have fun.
Alrighty. Lowell, any questions? You haven't been to a lot of these.
Well, all I do is show my utter ignorance, but I'm curious how you like your cabinets there for your lenses.
I love them. Oh, you can see them?
Yeah,
Yeah. If I go over here. Yeah, there's, you can turn the lights on. They have the humidity and temperature. The big lenses are all in here. And I think you can, the ones I bought are relatively expensive compared to the others, but you buy them from Amazon or B&H or Adorama.
yeah.
I think you'll be happy, and they're a lot cheaper. In fact, Adorama's got some that are Sling, I think is their brand name, and the reviews seem to be good, and they're much cheaper.
Does anybody have trouble with getting
Mold?
problems in mold in their lenses here?
I don't know of anybody here that has,
Never.
and you know, I just thought it. I worked out. I figured out what would it cost me to buy all my equipment over again if I had it, versus what does it cost to buy those cabinets, and it was a little over 1%. I just figured it's an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Because you know, once you get mold, you're pretty much screwed. If you catch it real early, you can send it in and get it cleaned, but
Mhm. Well, this is all new to me. In Colorado, you don't ever think about mold out there. It's so dry.
You don't hear
no,
either.
in fact, what I have read though is if it go, I know Zeiss does not want you to go below 30%, and I don't know that you get up to 30% in Colorado.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, it's probably overkill, but I wasn't going to take a chance because we were running some, well, heck, right now, I'm right at 50% in right above the cabinet. And I'm running 40% inside.
Mhm.
And it looks real cool.
Yeah.
Well, it also gave me a place to store all my crap down here in this room as opposed to upstairs.
It's
Because
hard to imagine some people only have one camera and one lens.
yeah, I know. I started with a camera and 2 lenses. But hey, addictions are like that.
That's right. Gotta have fun.
All righty, guys. Well, if there's nothing else for tonight's episode, plan on submitting more stuff next time. If you got anything that you want us to study up on or techniques to cover, we'll bone up on it and get them in the next video. And I'll post this thing probably tomorrow morning.
Okay, see everybody.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
And